Maya Chen pushed her food tray along the metal rails, watching the strange colors and shapes of alien meals pass by her eyes. The cafeteria of Zenith Collegiate stretched out like a vast metal forest, filled with tables and chairs of different sizes and shapes. Some tables were low to the ground for species that crawled. Others reached up high for those with long necks or floating abilities. The air smelled like a mixture of flowers, burning metal, and something that reminded Maya of old gym socks. She had been at this school for 3 weeks now. 3 long weeks of sitting alone at her table in the omnivore section. The section was nearly empty most days. Maya had learned that most species who could eat both plants and meat chose to eat plants anyway. They looked at her like she was some kind of monster when she ate her protein bars or the synthetic chicken the food machines made for her. Earth had only joined the galactic community 8 months ago. The government had been so proud to send students to this famous university. Maya had jumped at the chance to study alien biology. She wanted to learn about the thousands of species that lived among the stars, but nobody had told her how lonely it would be. Nobody had warned her that other species would avoid her like she carried some terrible disease. The herbivore section took up half the cafeteria. Dozens of species sat together there, eating plants and laughing in their various ways. Some chirped. Some hummed. Some made sounds Maya's brain could not even process without her translator implant. The predator section sat on the far side, separated by a wide walking space. Large, dangerous-looking creatures sat there, eating meat and eyeing everyone else with calculating stares. And then there was the omnivore section, nearly empty except for Maya and a few others who sat as far from each other as possible. Maya found her usual table and sat down. She opened her meal container and pulled out a sandwich she had made that morning. Real bread from Earth ingredients. Real peanut butter that her mom had sent in her last care package. It was one of the few things that made her feel less alone. She was halfway through her sandwich when she heard the crash. Maya looked up to see a small creature tumbling across the floor near the predator section. His tray had shattered, sending chunks of raw meat sliding across the clean white tiles. The creature was small, maybe the size of an 8-year-old human child. He looked like a wolf, but he walked on 2 legs and wore clothes. His fur was gray and patchy, missing in several spots. A long scar ran down his muzzle. His arms were too thin and his ribs showed through his sides. Behind him, 3 larger members of his species laughed. They had pushed him. Maya could see it in the way they stood, in their proud postures and cruel eyes. The small wolf creature dropped to his knees and began gathering the spilled food with shaking paws. His claws scraped against the floor. Maya watched as students from other tables glanced over, then quickly looked away. Nobody helped. Nobody even seemed to care. Maya's translator implant buzzed in her ear. It was picking up whispers from nearby tables. Words like runt and worthless and omega filtered through. Whatever those words meant in this context, they were not kind. The small creature's shoulders shook. Maya realized he was trying not to cry. She looked down at her sandwich. She looked at her apple. She looked at the protein bar she had saved for later. Then she looked back at the small wolf creature gathering spoiled meat from a dirty floor. Her roommate, a bird-like creature named Pip, had warned her many times. Do not interact with predator species. Do not break the social rules. Do not draw attention to yourself. Humans were already viewed as dangerous deathworlders. They came from a planet with heavy gravity, dangerous weather, and countless things that could kill them. Humans were survivors, and that made other species nervous. But Maya had not traveled across the stars to watch a child go hungry. She stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor, and the sound echoed in the suddenly quiet cafeteria. Maya picked up her tray and walked toward the small creature. Her translator began buzzing warning messages in her ear. Social hierarchy violation detected. Interspecies contact not recommended. Predator species protocols being breached. Maya ignored it. She knelt down beside the small wolf creature. Up close, she could see that his fur was not just patchy but scarred. Burns, maybe, or chemical damage. His eyes were a startling yellow color, and they went wide with fear when he saw her. "Hey," Maya said softly. "Are you okay?" The creature scrambled backward, dropping the meat he had gathered. His translator caller spoke in a growling voice that did not match his small size. "Stay back, lesser species. This one does not need your pity." Maya knew a recorded message when she heard one. The words were formal and stiff. Someone had programmed that response into his translator. She wondered if he even understood what it said. I'm not offering pity, Maya said. She sat down on the floor cross-legged and placed her tray between them. I'm offering lunch. You're hungry. I have extra. No strings attached. The creature stared at her, then at the food, then back at her. His nose twitched and she could hear his stomach growl from where she sat. What is your designation? His translator asked, though this time the voice sounded more like his own. My name is Maya. What's yours? This one is called Krush. He pronounced it with a rolling growl that her translator struggled to copy. This one is not permitted to accept charity from lesser species. Pack law forbids it. Maya looked at the spilled meat on the floor. She looked at the larger wolves in the predator section, watching with cold eyes. She looked at Krush's thin frame and trembling paws. I don't know much about pack law, Maya said, but I know that nobody should have to eat food off the floor when someone else has extra to share. Please take half my sandwich. Take the apple. I'm not very hungry anyway, that was a lie. Maya was always hungry. Earth's gravity was heavier than the station's artificial gravity, and her body burned calories quickly trying to adjust. But looking at Krush, she knew he needed the food more than she did. Krush looked at the food for a long moment. His paw reached out slowly, carefully, like he expected Maya to snatch it away. When she did not move, he grabbed half the sandwich and brought it to his mouth. He ate quickly, desperately, barely chewing. Maya quietly pushed the apple toward him, and he took that too. They sat in silence while he ate. Maya became aware that the entire cafeteria had gone quiet. Hundreds of eyes watched them. She could feel the weight of their stares like a physical pressure on her back. When Krush finished eating, he looked at Maya with those yellow eyes. Why, he asked simply. Maya smiled. Because you needed it. That's all. She stood up, collected her tray, and walked back to her table. She did not look at the predator section. She did not look at any of the staring faces. She just sat down and finished her water like nothing strange had happened. But something strange had happened. Maya just did not know it yet. That night, her roommate Pip flew in circles around their small dorm room, feathers puffed up in distress. You have made a terrible mistake, Pip chirped frantically. Predator species do not forget debts. They do not forget insults. You have humiliated their pack in public by showing kindness to their lowest member. They will come for you, Maya. They will come, and I do not know what they will do. Maya lay in her bed staring at the ceiling. She thought about Krush's scared eyes. She thought about his thin body and scarred fur. She thought about the way he had eaten like he had not had a real meal in days. Then let them come, Maya said quietly. I'd do it again. Outside her window, the stars turned slowly as the station orbited the neutral world below. Somewhere in those stars was Earth, her home, impossibly far away. Maya closed her eyes and hoped she had not just made the biggest mistake of her life. She had no way of knowing that in the predator section of the dormitories, 7 adult Vakrians were holding a meeting that would change everything. She had no way of knowing that her simple act of kindness had invoked an ancient law older than human civilization. She had no way of knowing that tomorrow morning nothing would ever be the same again. Maya Chen fell asleep thinking about a scared little wolf creature and wondering if he would be okay. She did not dream of honor or ancient debts or blood oaths. She just hoped that Krush would have a better tomorrow than he had today. That hope, simple and human and kind, was about to shake the foundations of galactic society. But for now, Maya just slept, exhausted from another lonely day at Zenith Collegiate, unaware that her loneliness was about to end in the most spectacular way possible. Maya had not slept well. Pip's worried chirping had kept her awake for hours, and when she finally did sleep, she dreamed of yellow eyes and growling voices. Now she stood outside the cafeteria entrance, trying to gather her courage to go inside. Her stomach was empty and complaining, but her mind was full of worry. She pushed through the door and stopped dead in her tracks. 7 massive Vakrians stood around her usual table. They were not sitting. They stood in a semicircle formation, like soldiers at attention. Each one was at least 2 meters tall, with thick fur and muscled bodies that spoke of strength and violence. Their fur was marked with scars, some old and faded, others more recent. These were not students. These were warriors. The entire cafeteria had gone silent. Not the usual quiet of students eating and studying. This was the silence of prey animals freezing when a predator appears. Maya could see students from the herbivore section pressed against the far walls. Even other predator species had moved their tables back, creating a wide empty space around the Vakrians. Maya's translator began buzzing emergency protocols in her ear. Threat level critical. Predator pack formation detected. Recommend immediate evacuation. Security has been notified, but Maya could not move. Her legs felt frozen to the floor. Her heart hammered in her chest so hard, she thought everyone in the room must be able to hear it. This was it. Pip had been right. They had come for her. The largest Vacrian stepped forward. She was female, Maya thought, though it was hard to tell with the species. Her fur was gray like storm clouds, and a jagged scar ran from her left eye down to her jaw. She wore what looked like military insignia on a band around her upper arm. When she moved, the others shifted to maintain their formation. This was their leader. The leader spoke, and Maya's translator struggled with the words. The language was formal, archaic, full of grammatical structures that made no sense in standard galactic common. The translator kept buffering, trying to find equivalent meanings. Human Maya Chen, the leader said, her voice deep and rumbling. You have performed an act that invokes ancient law. You have fed the lowest of our pack without demanding submission. You have shown kindness without asserting dominance. You have protected the weak when you had no obligation to do so. These actions fall under the Blood Debt Protocol, established in the time before our people reached the stars. Maya's mouth was dry. She tried to speak but could only make a small squeaking sound. The leader continued. I am Shara, Alpha of the 7th Blood Pack, veteran of the Border Wars, guardian of the weak. These are my warriors. She gestured to the 6 Vacrians behind her. We have come to answer the debt. Maya finally found her voice. I don't understand. I just shared my lunch. I didn't mean to invoke anything. Shara's ears twitched in what might have been amusement. Ignorance of law does not negate the law, but your ignorance makes the act more pure. You did not help young Kirsch for honor or debt. You helped him because he was hungry and you had food. This is the highest form of alpha kindness. Alpha kindness? Maya repeated, confused. One of the other Vacrians stepped forward. He was younger than Shara, with dark brown fur and intelligent eyes. His translator spoke in a smoother tone. Allow me to explain in terms your species might understand. In Vacrian society, we have strict pack hierarchy. The strong eat first. The weak eat last. The Omega, the lowest rank, often does not eat at all. This creates strength through competition. That's cruel, Maya said before she could stop herself. The young Vacrian's ears perked up. Yes, it is. But it is our way. It has been our way for thousands of years. An alpha, a pack leader, has the power to override this system. An alpha can choose to feed the Omega, protecting them from the pack's cruelty. But this comes at a cost. The alpha must be strong enough to defend that choice. Do you understand? Maya nodded slowly. You're saying that by feeding Kirsch I acted like an alpha, and now your pack thinks I'm claiming leadership or something? Shara made a sound that might have been a laugh. No, human. We are saying you acted like an alpha while being physically weak. You showed the greatest form of courage. You protected one of ours when you had no strength to back up that protection. You risked retaliation to feed a hungry child. This invokes the Blood Debt Protocol. What does that mean? Maya asked, though part of her was afraid to know. Shara turned to the 6 warriors behind her. As one, they all dropped to one knee. The movement was synchronized, military precise. Shara remained standing but placed her right paw over her heart. It means we acknowledge the debt, Shara said formally. Maya Chen of Earth, you have shown alpha kindness to Kirsch of the 7th Blood Pack. By ancient law, we are obligated to guard your territory and ensure your safety. We will protect your eating space from all threats. We will ensure you never eat in fear or danger. This oath we swear in blood and honor, until the debt is repaid or our lives are ended. Maya stared at them. Her brain struggled to process what was happening. You're going to guard my table? In the cafeteria? Yes, Shara said simply. Because I gave a kid half my sandwich? Because you saw worth in the worthless. Because you showed kindness to one who had only known cruelty. Because you are what all alphas should be, but few ever achieve. Shara's yellow eyes locked onto Maya's brown ones. You are pack now, human sister. And we protect our pack. A small figure emerged from behind Shara's legs. Kirsch looked different than he had yesterday. Someone had cleaned his fur and treated his wounds. He wore new clothes, simple but well made. He looked healthier, less afraid. When he saw Maya, his tail began to wag before he caught himself and stopped it. Kirsch walked forward and dropped to both knees in front of Maya. He spoke in halting, careful English rather than using his translator. The words were practiced, memorized with great effort. You are packed now, human sister. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for feeding me. Thank you for being kind when others were cruel. I am yours to command. Maya felt tears burning in her eyes. She knelt down so she was at Kirsch's level and put a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to command anything. You don't owe me anything. I just wanted to help. I know, Kirsch said, switching back to his translator. That is why the debt is real. That is why we honor you. The cafeteria erupted. Students began talking all at once in dozens of languages. Maya's translator could not keep up with all the voices. She caught fragments of conversation. The human commands predators. Did you see them kneel? What kind of death world or magic is this? I heard humans can control minds. Maybe we should avoid her. Maya looked around at all the staring faces and felt overwhelmed. She had just wanted to help a hungry kid. She had not wanted this. She had not wanted to be some kind of symbol or leader or whatever they thought she was now. Shara seemed to sense her distress. Come, human sister. Sit and eat. We will guard you as we have sworn. Ignore the others. They will learn. Maya nodded numbly and walked to her table. She sat down in her usual chair. The 7 Vakrians took up positions around her, creating a protective circle. They did not sit. They stood watch, eyes scanning the cafeteria for threats that did not exist. Maya pulled out her lunch with shaking hands. She had packed extra today, worried she would be too nervous to eat breakfast. Now she was glad she had. She pulled out a second sandwich and held it up to Kirsch. Hungry? She asked. Kirsch's tail wagged again, and this time he did not try to stop it. He sat down across from Maya and took the sandwich carefully. Yes, always hungry. They ate together while the rest of the cafeteria whispered and stared. Maya tried to ignore it. She tried to pretend this was normal. But how could anything be normal when she had 7 warrior aliens guarding her like she was royalty? Across the cafeteria near the herbivore section, a tall reptilian creature watched with calculating eyes. His scales were bright blue and green, and he wore ornate markings that indicated high status among his people. His name was Veskith, and he was not pleased with what he was seeing. Not pleased at all, this cannot stand, he hissed to his companions. A human barely here a month commanding the respect of predator warriors? This disrupts the natural order. This threatens everything we have built. His companion, a smaller reptile with nervous eyes, shifted uncomfortably. What can we do? The blood debt protocol is ancient law. Even our people recognize it. Veskith's eyes narrowed. Then we will force the human to prove she deserves such honor. We will challenge her in the trials of merit. We will show everyone that humans are nothing special. We will expose her as weak and unworthy, and the blood debt will be broken. Back at Maya's table, she was unaware of the plotting happening across the room. She was too busy listening to Kirsch talk about his studies, his attempts to learn Earth languages, his dreams of becoming a xenobiologist like Maya wanted to be. They talked about their favorite foods and the strange differences between their species. They laughed about the confusion of having so many different species in one place. For the first time since arriving at Zenith Collegiate, Maya did not feel alone. She had a friend. She had protectors. She had somehow stumbled into becoming part of something bigger than herself. She looked up at Shara, who stood watch with patient vigilance. Thank you, Maya said quietly. Shara's ears twitched. Do not thank us yet, human sister. The debt has been acknowledged, but the consequences are just beginning. You have made powerful. 1 week had passed since the Vakrian pack had sworn their oath. 1 week of eating lunch with 7 massive warriors standing guard around her table. 1 week of whispers and stares and nervous students giving her a wide space in the hallways. Maya was exhausted by all the attention, but at least she was not lonely anymore. Kirsch had become her constant companion. He walked with her between classes, carrying extra books when her human arms got tired in the station's lower gravity. He introduced her to other students, though most were too nervous to talk to the human who commanded predator warriors. He taught her Vakrian words and customs, and she taught him about Earth and human culture. They became friends in the truest sense of the word, but the attention was getting worse, not better. Students from peaceful species now avoided the cafeteria entirely during lunch hours. Some had filed formal complaints with the university administration about feeling unsafe. Others had started eating in their dorm rooms rather than risk being near Maya and her guards. The predator species students had a different reaction. They had begun showing Maya subtle signs of respect. A nod when passing in the hallway, a step aside to let her through doorways first. small gestures that her translator identified as markers of status recognition. Maya did not want status. She just wanted to study xenobiology and maybe make some friends. Instead, she had become some kind of celebrity or symbol or whatever they thought she was. Today, everything changed. Maya was walking to her afternoon physics class with Kirsch bouncing along beside her when three large figures stepped into her path. They were Zelkathi, the reptilian species she had seen watching her in the cafeteria. Their scales gleamed blue and green under the station's artificial lights. They wore elaborate sashes marked with symbols that her translator identified as academic and family honors. The leader was the tallest, with scales so bright they almost hurt to look at. His translator spoke in a hissing accent that gave his words an edge of menace. "Maya Chen of Earth, we require words with you." Maya stopped walking. Kirsch immediately moved closer to her side, his ears flattened against his head in a clear warning posture. "What do you want?" Maya asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "You have disrupted the natural order of this institution," the Zelkathi leader said. His name tag identified him as Veskith. "You arrive here claiming to be a student, yet you command warriors like some kind of warlord. You manipulate proud species with your Death Worlder tricks. This cannot continue." "I haven't manipulated anyone," Maya protested. "I just shared my lunch with someone who was hungry. I didn't ask for any of this." "Lies come easily to humans, I hear," Veskith said, moving closer. "Your species is known for deception and treachery. You pretend weakness while hiding strength. You act kind while planning conquest. We Zelkathi are not fooled by your games." Maya felt anger rising in her chest. She had been patient for a week. She had endured the stares and whispers. She had tried to go about her life despite the chaos her kindness had caused. But she was tired of being called a liar and manipulator when all she had done was help someone. "What do you want from me?" Maya asked, her voice sharper now. Veskith's eyes gleamed. "I challenge you to prove your worthiness. If you truly deserve the respect of warrior species, if you truly have earned the blood debt of the Vacrian Pack, then prove it. Face the trials of merit. Show the entire university that humans are worthy of the status you claim." "I don't claim any status," Maya said. "I just want to go to class." "Then you refuse the challenge?" Veskith asked, his voice full of mock disappointment. "How convenient. The mighty human who commands warriors is actually a coward who hides behind others' strength," Kirsch growled, a sound that started deep in his chest. "You insult Pack Sister. You break honor code by challenging one under blood debt protection." "The blood debt only applies to physical threats," Veskith countered. "The trials of merit are a test of worth, not violence. The human may refuse if she wishes, but then everyone will know the truth. She is weak and unworthy. The blood debt was given in error." Maya looked at Kirsch's worried face. She thought about Shara and the other warriors who had sworn to protect her. She thought about what it would mean if she refused. The pack would be shamed. Their oath would be questioned. All because she had been kind to a hungry child. "What are the trials of merit?" Maya asked. Veskith's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. 5 competitions designed by different species to test strength, intelligence, adaptability, and honor. Each trial showcases the best qualities of the species that designed it. Compete in all 5. If you place respectably in any of them, your status is proven. If you fail, you admit that humans are weak and unworthy of the respect you have been given. Maya's hands were shaking. She was not an athlete. She was not a fighter. She was a 19-year-old biology student who got anxious speaking in front of classes. How could she possibly compete in trials designed by species that had evolved for thousands of years on different worlds with different conditions? But looking at Kirsch at his worried yellow eyes and scared expression, Maya made her decision. "Fine, I accept your challenge. When are these trials?" 3 days from now, Veskith said. "In the central arena. The entire university will watch. Prepare yourself, human. We will show everyone what your species truly is." The 3 Zelkathi walked away, their tails swishing behind them in what her translator identified as satisfaction. Maya stood frozen in the hallway as students flowed around her, whispering and staring. "What had she just done?" "Pack Sister," Kirsch said quietly. "You should not have accepted. The trials are impossible for your species. Each one is designed to favor the species that made it. No single species can succeed at all 5. "Then I'll fail trying," Maya said, trying to sound braver than she felt. "I can't let your pack be shamed because of me." That night, Shara and the other warriors came to Maya's dorm room. They barely fit in the small space, their large bodies making the room feel tiny. Pip had fled to a friend's room the moment they arrived, too nervous to be around so many predators. "You should not have accepted," Shara said, echoing Kirsch's words. "The trials are designed to be impossible. They will test you in ways that favor species much stronger and faster than humans." "I know," Maya said, "but I couldn't refuse. It would have made you all look bad." The young brown-furred Vacrian named Torvin spoke up. "We could have fought for you. Kirsch could compete in your place. The rules allow for pack representation." Maya shook her head. "No. If I'm going to be judged as a human, then I should be the one standing there. I won't hide behind others." Shara studied Maya for a long moment. Then she made a rumbling sound that might have been approval. "You have the spirit of a warrior, even if your body is small and soft. Very well. If you will fight this battle, then we will help you prepare. We have 3 days. Let us not waste them." The next 3 days were the hardest of Maya's life. Shara and the pack taught her everything they could about the other species who would be competing. They explained weaknesses and strengths. They showed her how to observe and adapt. They pushed her to her physical limits and then pushed harder. Torvin was the most helpful. He had studied military tactics and strategy for years. "The trials are not about being the strongest," he explained, as Maya collapsed after her 10th lap around the dorm exercise track. "They are about being the smartest. Each species will play to their strengths. You must find ways to use their strengths against them." "How?" Maya gasped, her lungs burning. "By being human," Torvin said. "Your species evolved on a death world. You survived by being adaptable, by working together, by never giving up. These are your weapons. Use them." Krarsh brought her research materials about the competing species. The Zelkathi were fast and had excellent reflexes. The Korthians were incredibly strong, their silicon-based biology making them nearly indestructible. The Aralis could manipulate air currents and fly. The deepwater Krell could breathe multiple atmosphere types. Each species had evolved perfect adaptations for their homeworld. Humans had evolved to survive everything their terrible planet threw at them. Maya studied late into the nights. She watched videos of previous trials. She read about human evolution, about persistence hunting, about the unique advantages her species had developed. She learned that humans could regulate their temperature through sweating, something most species could not do. She learned that human endurance was legendary, that her ancestors had literally chased prey to death by outlasting them. She learned that humans were generalists, able to adapt to almost any environment rather than specializing in one. On the night before the trials, Maya could not sleep. She stood by her window looking out at the stars, thinking about Earth somewhere out there in the darkness. She thought about her grandfather who had taken her hiking every summer. He had taught her to keep going when her legs hurt and her lungs burned. "Pain is temporary," he always said, "but giving up lasts forever." Kirsch found her standing there. He sat down beside her without speaking. After a long silence, he said, "Can I tell you something?" "Of course," Maya said. "My family died when I was very young. The pack took me in because Tiara." The central arena of Zenith Collegiate was enormous. Maya stood at the entrance, staring at the massive space that could hold thousands of students. Tiers of seats rose up in circles, already filling with spectators from dozens of species. Floating cameras drifted through the air, recording everything. Her translator informed her that the trials were being broadcast across multiple systems. Millions would watch. Maya wanted to throw up. She wore simple human athletic clothes, stretchy pants, and a light shirt that let her move freely. Compared to the other champions, she looked tiny and underprepared. The Zelkathi wore scaled armor. The Korthian was a walking mountain of silicon-based muscle. The Aralis had wings that spanned 3 meters. The deepwater Krell wore a moisture suit that kept their skin wet. And then there was Maya. Small, soft, scared Maya Chen from Earth. Shara and the pack stood behind her in the preparation area. Hirsch bounced nervously at her side. "You can still withdraw," Shara said quietly. "No one would fault you." "Yes, they would," Maya said. "And I'd fault myself. Let's get this over with." A voice boomed across the arena in multiple languages. The announcer explained the rules. 5 trials, each designed by a different species. Points awarded based on placement. The champion with the most total points would win overall. But respect would be given to anyone who placed well in any trial. It was possible to lose while still proving your worth. Maya hoped she could at least do that much. The first trial was the Zelkathi maze. A three-dimensional structure materialized in the center of the arena, all shifting walls and moving platforms and obstacles that changed position. The goal was simple: reach the center and ring the bell. The fastest time won. Veskith stepped up to the starting line with Maya and 3 other champions. His scales gleamed in the arena lights. He looked at Maya with cold eyes and said nothing. He did not need to. His presence said enough. The starting signal sounded. Veskith launched forward like a bolt of lightning. The other champions followed, each using their species' natural advantages. Maya ran after them, her human legs pumping as fast as they could. Within seconds, she had lost sight of all of them. The maze was designed for speed and reflexes. Walls shifted just as you reached them. Platforms dropped away under your feet. Obstacles swung out from hidden panels. It was chaos and confusion, and Maya was completely lost within the first minute. But Maya had spent 3 days studying recordings of this trial. She had learned something important. The maze had patterns. The walls shifted in sequences. The obstacles followed timing mechanisms. If you were fast enough, you did not need to learn the patterns, but if you were slower, you could use them. Maya stopped running blindly. She pulled out a marker from her pocket and made a quick symbol on the wall. Then she moved carefully, watching the walls, counting the seconds between shifts. When a wall moved, she marked the new position. When a platform dropped, she noted how long before it returned. The other champions were already finishing. She could hear bells ringing in the distance. But Maya kept working, mapping the maze as she went. It was slow and frustrating, but it was what humans did. They observed. They learned. They adapted. When Maya finally reached the center and rang the bell, she finished 3rd out of 5 champions. Veskith had won with a blistering time. But Maya had not come in last, and more importantly, she had shown human problem-solving in action. The crowd murmured with surprise. The small human had not collapsed in failure. She had found her own way through. The second trial was the Korthian strength test. Massive weighted blocks sat on one side of the arena. Champions had to move them to the other side. The Korthian champion picked up his block like it weighed nothing and walked it across. Other champions struggled and strained. Maya looked at her assigned block. It was as tall as she was and probably weighed more than a small car. She tried to lift it. It did not move even slightly. She tried to push it, nothing. She tried to pull it. Still nothing. The crowd began to laugh. Not cruel laughter, but the kind of laughter that comes when something is absurd. A tiny human trying to move a block that even strong species struggled with. It was comical. Maya sat down and thought. The rules said the blocks had to be moved to the other side. They did not say how. They did not say you had to carry them. They just had to be moved. She stood up and examined the arena floor. It was smooth and slightly slanted. She examined the block's shape. It was rectangular with rounded edges. And then Maya smiled. She went to the equipment storage at the edge of the arena and found what she was looking for. Maintenance tools, including a long metal bar. She brought the bar back to her block and wedged it underneath one edge. Then she used the principle of leverage that her grandfather had taught her during their hikes when they needed to move fallen logs. The block tilted up onto one edge. Maya pushed and it began to roll. Not quickly, not easily, but it moved. She rolled it across the arena floor, using physics and simple machines instead of raw strength. It took her 3 times as long as anyone else, but she got her block to the other side. She finished 4th out of 5. But the crowd was not laughing anymore. They were talking excitedly. The human had used her brain to overcome her weakness. She had turned a strength test into a puzzle and solved it. Death Worlder ingenuity, they called it. The ability to look at a problem and find solutions that others missed. The third trial was the atmospheric challenge. Competitors had to complete tasks in chambers with different atmospheres, temperatures, and pressures. Each champion would face the environment most opposite to their home world. For the Aurelus, a high-pressure water chamber. For the Krell, a dry heat environment. For Maya, they chose a chamber with thin air, high heat, and low humidity. Most species were adapted for specific environments. Their bodies worked best in conditions similar to their homeworld. Too much deviation and they became weak and sluggish. But humans had evolved as persistence hunters who chased prey across deserts and mountains, and every environment their terrible planet offered. Human bodies could adapt. Maya stepped into the chamber. The heat hit her like a physical blow. The air was so thin she could barely breathe. Other champions had already started failing their challenges. The Corthian could not function in high cold. The Aralis struggled in heavy gravity. Species built for one perfect environment could not handle extremes. But Maya's body did something amazing. She started to sweat. The moisture evaporating from her skin cooled her body, a biological adaptation that few other species possessed. Her lungs worked harder, pulling what oxygen they could from the thin air. Her heart rate increased, pumping blood and oxygen more efficiently. Her human body, built by millions of years of surviving Earth's chaos, adapted in real time. The task was to assemble a complex puzzle while in the chamber. Maya's hands shook from the heat and thin air. Her head pounded from altitude sickness. But she kept working, piece by piece, step by step, never stopping, never giving up. The human way. When she finished and stumbled out of the chamber, gasping and drenched in sweat, the timer showed she had beaten everyone except the Krell, whose species specialized in multi-environment adaptation. Second place. A human had won her first medal. The crowd erupted. Even species that had avoided Maya in the cafeteria were cheering. She had proven that humans were not just clever, they were physically special too. Their adaptability was not just mental, it was built into their very biology. The fourth trial was the endurance hunt, a 20-kilometer course with obstacles designed to test stamina over pure speed. Most species were built for explosive power, quick sprints, fast reactions, short bursts of incredible ability. This made sense for survival. Chase prey quickly or run from predators fast. But humans had evolved differently. Humans had evolved to chase prey for hours, to track animals until they collapsed from exhaustion, to run at a steady pace that never stopped, never slowed, just kept going until nothing else could keep going. Persistence hunting, the uniquely human ability to simply outlast everything else. The starting signal fired. Champions burst forward at incredible speeds. The Zelkathi shot ahead. The Aralis flew above obstacles. The Corthian crashed through barriers. Maya started at a steady jog. Within 5 kilometers, the faster species began to slow. Their muscles burned lactic acid. Their bodies overheated. They had sprinted too hard, too fast. They needed to stop and recover. But Maya just kept jogging. Her breathing was steady. Her pace never changed. She passed the Aralis, who had landed to rest, wings cramping from overuse. She passed the Corthian, who had overheated and needed to cool down. At kilometer 15, only 3 champions were still moving. The deepwater Krell was ahead. Their species built for long-distance swimming translated well to endurance. Veskith was second, pushing himself through sheer willpower and pride. And Maya was third, still jogging at the same steady pace she had started with. At kilometer 18, Veskith collapsed. His reptilian biology could not sustain the effort. His body simply shut down. He would recover, but he was done. That left Maya and the Krell. The final 2 kilometers were agony. Every muscle in Maya's body screamed. Her lungs burned. Her feet were blistered inside her shoes. Her body begged her to stop, to rest, to give up. But Maya thought about her grandfather's words. Pain is temporary. Giving up lasts forever. She thought about Kirsch's yellow eyes trusting her. Maya woke up in the medical center with no memory of how she had gotten there. Her body ached in ways she had not known were possible. Every muscle screamed protest when she tried to move. Her translator implant was buzzing with hundreds of messages, but she ignored them all. She just wanted to sleep for a week. You are awake. Good. Shara's deep voice came from beside the bed. The large Vakrian sat in a chair that looked far too small for her massive frame. You collapsed after the trials. We carried you here. The doctors say you are fine, just exhausted. Humans apparently push their bodies to dangerous limits. Did I win? Maya asked, her voice rough. You placed in every trial. You won the respect of every species present. You showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Does it matter that Veskith scored more points overall? Maya thought about it and smiled. No, I guess it doesn't. Then rest, Pack Sister. You have earned it. But rest was hard to come by. Over the next few hours, a steady stream of visitors arrived. Kirsch brought her favorite foods from Earth that he had somehow found in the station's massive storage. Pip came with flowers and apologies for being scared. Students she had never met stopped by to congratulate her or ask for autographs. The university chancellor himself visited, speaking formally about how proud the institution was to have her. The most surprising visitor came in the evening. Veskith entered the medical room, his bright scales somehow looking less intimidating in the soft light. He approached Maya's bed and stood silently for a moment before speaking. "I must apologize," he said stiffly. "I challenged you out of pride and prejudice. I believed humans were using tricks to gain status they had not earned. I was wrong. Your species may be young in the stars, but you possess qualities that many older species have lost. You have my respect, Maya-chan, and my friendship if you will accept it." Maya looked at the reptilian who had caused her so much stress and saw genuine regret in his eyes. She thought about holding a grudge, but that seemed pointless now. Friends don't usually try to humiliate each other in public trials, but I guess we can start fresh. "Apology accepted." Veskith's posture relaxed visibly. "Thank you. And I must tell you something else. Earth's ambassadors are very pleased with you. Your trials were broadcast across multiple systems. Billions watched you compete. Already dozens of species have requested formal meetings with human representatives. Your performance has changed how the galaxy views your people. I just didn't want to let my friends down," Maya said quietly. "That is precisely why it worked," Veskith replied. "You did not compete for glory or status. You competed for others. That is a very human thing, I think. And it is beautiful." After Veskith left, Shara returned with news. "The pack has made a decision. We wish to formally adopt you as blood sister. Not just the oath of protection, but true pack membership. This is rare, very rare. No off-worlder has ever been offered this honor." Maya felt tears in her eyes. "What does that mean?" "It means you are family. It means you will always have a place with us. It means we will defend you, teach you, guide you as one of our own, and in return you will honor the pack and help us grow stronger." Shara's yellow eyes were soft. "You already do this last part. You have made Krish stronger. You have reminded us what true alpha kindness looks like. Will you accept?" "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. "I would be honored." The ceremony happened 3 days later in the central arena, the same place where Maya had competed. But this time the atmosphere was celebratory rather than competitive. The Vakrian pack gathered in the center, all wearing ceremonial gear. Maya wore a simple white robe that Krish had helped her pick out. Shara spoke in ancient Vakrian, her voice carrying across the arena. Maya's translator worked overtime to convert the archaic language. The words spoke of honor and family, of bonds stronger than blood, of choosing to stand together against the darkness. Each pack member came forward and placed a claw on Maya's shoulder, speaking a personal oath. When Krish's turn came, he could barely speak through his emotion. "You saved me when I was nothing. You showed me I could be something. You are the best sister I could ever have. I swear to protect you, learn from you, and make you proud." Maya hugged him tight, not caring about ceremony or tradition. "You already make me proud, little brother." The ceremony ended with Shara presenting Maya with a pack token, a small carved piece of stone worn on a cord. "You are Kesh Maya now, kindness bringer. May you always carry that name with honor." The changes came quickly after that. Maya's experience at Zenith Collegiate transformed completely. The cafeteria, once divided into rigid sections, began to blur. Students who had never spoken to each other started sitting together, curious about different species and cultures. Maya's table became a neutral meeting ground where anyone could sit. Predator species students taught herbivores about their cultures, breaking down centuries of fear and misunderstanding. Omnivores like Maya found themselves as bridges between worlds, helping translate not just language but customs and perspectives. The strict social hierarchies that had governed the university for generations started to crack. Not everyone was happy about the changes. Some traditional students complained that the old ways were being destroyed. Some species felt uncomfortable with the mixing. But slowly, steadily, the momentum of change could not be stopped. And at the center of it all was a small human girl who had just wanted to help a hungry kid. Maya's classes became easier too. Other students actually talked to her now, forming study groups and sharing notes. Her xenobiology professor asked her to present a lecture on human evolution and adaptation, which became so popular, it had to be moved to a larger hall. She was even invited to join several academic clubs and social organizations. But the biggest change was personal. Maya was no longer lonely. She had Krish, who followed her everywhere like a shadow, and made her laugh with his enthusiasm for learning about Earth. She had the pack, who taught her Vakrian customs and invited her to their gatherings. She had Veskith, who turned out to be funny and intelligent once you got past his formal exterior. She had Pip, who slowly overcame fear and became a good friend. She had classmates from dozens of species, each one teaching her something new about the galaxy. One afternoon, about a month after the trials, Maya sat in the cafeteria with a mixed group of students. A Korthian was explaining silicon-based biology to two herbivores who listened with fascination. And Aralis was teaching Kirsch how to calculate wind resistance for better flight dynamics. Veskith was arguing good-naturedly with another reptilian about philosophy, and Maya sat in the middle of it all, eating her sandwich and smiling. Shara approached the table, which had become a common sight, but this time she carried a data pad with official-looking documents. "Maya, I have news from Earth." The table went quiet. Maya looked up, suddenly nervous. "What kind of news?" "Your government has received over 100 requests for human exchange students from other universities across the galaxy. They are expanding the program significantly. More humans will be coming to the stars, and many will be coming here to Zenith Collegiate." Shara's expression was amused. "It seems you have made humanity very popular." Maya felt a strange mix of emotions: pride that she had helped her species, excitement that more humans would experience what she had, but also a small possessiveness about her found family and the community she had built. "When are they coming?" "The first group arrives in 2 weeks. 50 human students, the largest off-world group Earth has ever sent." Shara tilted her head. "The Chancellor has asked if you would help orient them. Show them how to navigate galactic society. Teach them what you have learned." Maya looked around her table at the diverse group of friends she had somehow gathered. She thought about how lonely and scared she had been just 2 months ago. She thought about all the mistakes she had made and the lessons she had learned. She thought about what she could teach the new students so they would not have to struggle the way she had. "Yes," Maya said, "I'll help them. But they need to learn something important right away." "What is that?" Veskith asked. "That the galaxy isn't about species or status or who is strongest. It's about seeing people who need help and choosing to help them anyway. It's about finding family in unexpected places. It's about being kind even when it's hard." Maya smiled. "It's about being human, which means being caring, stubborn, adaptable, and maybe a little bit crazy." Kirsch laughed, his tail wagging. "That is the best description of humans I have ever heard." The group at the table agreed, each in their own way. And as they went back to their conversations and meals, Maya reflected on her journey. She had come to Zenith Collegiate as a lonely student who just wanted to study alien life. She had ended up teaching the galaxy about human values instead. Later that evening, Maya stood by her dorm window, looking out at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, impossibly far away, but somehow closer than it had ever felt. She had changed since arriving at this station. She had grown stronger, braver,